To Ben Gleib from Weaver, John C. Roseman, California. The armpit of Southern California, the Antelope Valley region. How you doing, my friend? I've seen your comments for a long while now in different places. I feel for every one of those guys that damn winds took out. We never suspected that much, did we, Ben? About the Annas. About the Santa Anas being that powerful. We should have. We had a failure of imagination. They're probably in different areas. Yeah, I've been going crazy like everybody else had. But the thing is, since I'm out here in the Antelope Valley, I am somewhat protected. Until trying to keep track of the weather and seeing whether or not we got the gradients going to be pushing our ass or not. And if the high is going to be moving and low is moving out, we're going to be in for it. It's going to be reversing the wind, and we're going to be getting our asses kicked. We're going to be getting the onshore flow. People have already had problems with the ashes, and that's bad enough. But now we're going to get smoked out, aren't we? So if you were an Angelino, you would probably know the geography a bit of Edwards Air Force Base, roughly. I do this to a lot of people on my channel. So if you have a map app available, kind sir, and no, I'm not talking about a Thomas guide. However, you want to go old school, you can do that. If they're still around and still in one piece. Paper being the way it is these days. So, if you kindly go to your map app, I usually go Google. Sorry, I'm working with two computers here. See that wedge right above us? Southern California? That's home. Right next to Edwards. See that nice flat territory? If you kind of put the satellite version on it and not the default, what do you see out there? Yeah, but you're not looking close enough. What are some of the areas that we actually have in the Antelope Valley that we don't have, but still burnable? Scrub. Lots and lots of it. Every once in a while, there'll be a little bit of a fire here, a little bit of a fire here. We get maybe about 3, 5, 10 acres. For some people, okay, that's no problem. If we get the winds kicking in hard enough, you've already seen how it is when they were going offshore. But onshore? I've done a lot of videos about my own fears and phobias. Living in Southern California all my life. Downey. Then San Fernando Valley for about 38 years. Moved the family out in '05 because we couldn't afford to rent and couldn't even afford an affordable place out there. Stuck out here for 20 years. Fam. On 2013, Big Brother 2018. I'm solo now. Living out here in lovely old Rosamond, California. The armpit of it all. We got about 15, 20K in pop. Did the math on that one. What happens if we actually had Godzilla with his fiery breath? You take a look how spread out we are, but notice the topography, my friend. How many points can you see that's totally flammable? I said before about scrub. All valley floors with it. Good stiff wind and we're fried. Last 20 years, we must have had about several fires already, right along the Andreas, Gabriel's. Maybe not the Gabriel's. But the Andreas. We also had it along Temecula. Actually, not Temecula, but the Tehachapi's. We had the fire over there, too. grapevine area. So we had them along the ridges. But we've also had fires coming close and onto the floor. That was about 10 or 15 years ago. I haven't become a fire expert, but I tried to be a historian in my head of how many damn fires. And when I start losing track, I know I've seen too much of it in my lifetime. Living in the San Fernando Valley for 38 years, from 68 to 05, I'd seen too many damn burns. Seen too much smoke and ate too much of it. It's no fun breathing that shit in, is it? Never was. Didn't have the masks back then. They could have been helpful. So yeah, I know what it's like to live in the fear of fire all the damn time. We're Southern Californians. We have to be. We're Californians. It's our nature. If that wasn't bad enough. How about Gaia and Pele doing a shake-up call on us? We're more afraid about the buildings falling down than we are about getting torched. And yet hearing all these damn politicians, I'm about to lay on a video that's really going to be raunchy as hell and pissed off at hell. And again, I blame our voters for this one. Man, you've seen it. You've seen the numbers when they got into office this time. Biden leaving, Trumplicans crowding. You know, they're not crowing. They're more whining than anything else. They're more whining and griping about things. I'm going to different independents left and right. Some on the Young Turks and others just to see what the hell was going on. And yeah, I keep my ears open to the corporate. Watch it every once in a while now. I've stayed off the locals because they got me so damn stressed and pressed out. We're talking PTSD. And dude, I'm 38 years in this place. You're a few years younger than I am. I'm 59 coming up. A kid's not supposed to be traumatized by fire surrounding his valley. Or let alone when Mother Nature decides to rip open a fault line. But I'm supposed to be hardy about it. 94 when it came in on the 17th of January. '94 became a life of hell. Whoever thought that I was a few miles away from ground zero, actually about less than a mile away from ground zero's fault line. And yet I was seeing my neighborhood destroyed. Fires and floods up in the northern San Fernando area, Granada Hills. You ever seen flooded streets with a gas main on fire? God. Ethereal. We had the mountains shifting every so often, and we've seen the dust blowing in the wind. You ever heard of valley fever? There was no way we could have known about these things, much less know about a windstorm coming through us. What was it, about 1 or 2 years ago, we actually had that theoretical hurricane coming through? Everybody was having a conniption fit. Boy, I was laughing my ass off on that one, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why on that one, Ben. What's it take to fuel a hurricane? Well, you need water, right? So it was coming up the pipeline. Not coming down, but coming up. So we had warm waters trying to fuel it. Ben, how well do you know about oceanography? Not much. Let's look at the map again, pal. Widen the shot until you see Alaska. You're a native. You should know this. Why? Because this always affects our damn weather system over here. Now, comparing the East Coast to the Caribbean and to us, where are we getting our cold currents from? From Alaska all the way down to us. So if we ever actually had a hurricane, those currents have got to be warm as hell. And La Nina making us boiling and broiling. But we didn't have it. We had a massive thunderstorm system coming through. And yeah, it did give us rain here and there, but not a consistent pour like everybody else would have on the East Coast and in the Caribbean. Not us. So that's why I laughed about it. But I also kept my ears and my eyes open for the pressure gradients we still have. How much force of wind we're going to be getting through two forces that are funneling that energy into us. They may have predicted, but they couldn't predict that much energy coming through to give us Godzilla. But you get the hurricanes coming through the East Coast and the Caribbean, and where's their pressure gradients? Coming up the pipeline to flood them all out again. We could have not known about this monster. There was no way in hell we could have known about this monster, man. I listened to too much weather reporters, meteorologists on ABC7, on KTLA, on CBS, KCAL. You ever remember the guy named Dr. George Fishback, or ever remember the name? But you remember Mountain. And some of the other meteorologists that we actually had in the news organizations for a long while. Some passed on, some have moved away. Dallas Raines being the chief out here in the Southland. ABC7. Yeah, I watched them for years. I've also watched other people who are just as competent. Not to mention keeping track of Hanford all the time. I'm not checking Oxnard. I'm checking Hanford because it covers our northern flank. But Oxnard would cover the southern area as well. So I try to keep track of this stuff as much as I can. And right now what's making me sick to my stomach is not just seeing the damage and death. More of the damage, but more of the recovery, and that's pretty damn good. Because I'd seen areas that I've driven through with my brother when we did scouting expeditions all over the damn place for 38 years. And every time they would get hit in certain sections, 10, 15 years, we'd go back again, see the area, see if it's been replenished or turned green. I've seen that many houses. Hearing the stories. I had to switch off, Ben. I had to switch off. I already seen it when quakes happen. You can't predict them. You can't chart them until after they hit. And then you see the damage. And then you go through the rocks to see how kind of damage they've done. But the dynamics of fire. I'm also starting to run into stories that there may be some people out there who just love fire. One person that they actually caught, or maybe a few other people they caught, trying to cause this damn thing. Guess what? One person liked the smell of wood. Wasn't that done at a press conference? Wood burning. I don't. I smell that stuff over here and I go crazy. Let me get you further involved in the maps, please. One request if I can ask. I want you to go back over to Rosamond, California. Go back to my home. Okay? I want to show you something. You get closer to Rosemont, you see Edwards Air Force Base, right? I want you to find the 14 freeway. Keep that in your center for right now until it starts getting out of ways, because it's going to move to the left. Let it go. Let it go to the left. You're going to be looking to the right. You're going to be looking to the edge of Edwards. I'm going to show you home. And yes, there is something to show you, my friend. On the corner of United and Rosemont, there's an apartment complex. See the area? You see how much scrub we got? That's what scared the hell out of me ever since moving into this apartment. But no, this gets even worse. There's a pit on the corner of United and Rosemont in our complex. July 4th, we had that torched. Kids playing fireworks. We almost lost part of the building. Neighbors don't know how to use fire extinguishers. We're lucky enough we actually had one unit out, and then actually gathered another unit. We've only got about 4 or 5 fire engines for this entire town. One sheriff station. That's about it. That's all budgeted for it in the county of Kern. In that fire pit, in that pit that you see on United, you see how it's a bit of blackened? As I said before, we had the fire going in that pit. Nobody could use it, the fire extinguishers on it. It had to be doused out with water. And it was doused out with water. And then right afterwards, when the fire department were just trying to do the mop up, their truck was parked in the back, right by our rear entrance. A boy and a girl, both teenagers, lighting up fireworks. Aerials again. I wouldn't have been surprised if they were the ones causing the fire, but they didn't. They didn't know any better. The next day, we actually had a fire bin. Actually, trash fire bin. The next day, on the far left side of the complex, far west. If it had continued, we had cars underneath the awnings. And we had a grove of trees. We could have had a fire. Widen that shut a little bit. Can I see a bit of a pattern there, pal? How much burnables and flammable areas do you actually see? If we actually had Godzilla out here, widen the shot even further. How much burnable? See, I know I relate too damn well. I've seen spot fires happen in different areas of our town, of Lancaster, of Palmdale, of the desert itself. But I've also seen too many damn fires up in the hillsides and the mountainsides we've had. These assholes, these Trumplicans out there, they don't give a shit. The Musks, the Trumps, they don't give a shit. I feel you, man. I feel you. And yeah, I had been homeless once. But bad decisions made. So I know what it's like to live out on the streets. I do a lot of videos of my own home life and politics and everything else going on. A Diary of a Griever named John Weaver. Which is me. Anyway. We'll talk later, I hope. Take care, my friend, and take care of that family of yours. Family is everything. Things can be replaced.